the video playing for you? It's not playing for me.
No.
Just
But I saw you
live
bobbing your
staring,
head,
yeah.
so yeah, I was like, okay, maybe it's playing for him.
Huh. Let's try now. Here we go. There we
Welcome
go.
to Good for Bitcoin, a weekly show recorded live every Friday where we recap the top events of the week and talk about everything that is good for Bitcoin. If it's built on Bitcoin, then it's good for Bitcoin. Let's get started. Content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute financial, investment, or legal advice. The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and do not reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, or company. We encourage you to conduct your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Good for Bitcoin. I hope that the live stream is working because we're having some technical difficulties on our streamer right now, and I don't know if we are actually live streaming. So this might just be a podcast only, YouTube only show today, but that's okay. We have a lot to get into. Welcome to Good for Bitcoin, your weekly pulse on Bitcoin innovation. Normally we would be live at goodforbitcoin.com, but you can catch the show there, and all the podcast links are there as well. But yeah, Bitcoin's at 67K. Fear and greed has dropped even more than it was last week. It's at 9 right now. We are still in extreme fear. We are in more extreme fear than we were previously. So everyone is more scared this week. Kate, how was your week?
Yeah, it was a good week. It's good to see Bitcoin back in its green arc a little bit. We'll see if that holds. I don't know, but yeah, it's been like pretty good week. I'm honestly pretty excited for some of the stories that you've put in here. One of them being FBI entering crypto as like sleuths and trying to bring some people down for some bad actions. So that'll be fun. And then obviously there's been a lot of chatter about quantum computing again. So I think we have some pretty good stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on with quantum. I feel like that was just my timeline over the past couple of days, was just everybody talking about this Google story. So yeah, we'll get into that. But first, we got to start with the public companies. So first one is Metaplanet. They acquired 5,075 BTC this past quarter, which puts them into third place now behind Strategy and 21 Capital. They now hold 40,177 BTC.
Damn. Then we have American Bitcoin Corp. They acquired 101 Bitcoin. Now they hold an even 7,000.
Love that. And I was pretty surprised by this. So Nakamoto, they actually sold some of their Bitcoin. They sold 284 BTC for 20 million. At a cost basis of 33.56 million. So they actually sold their Bitcoin at a loss to cover, some of their operating expenses. They just did like their quarterly filings because it's a new quarter now. We're in April. So this was revealed that this happened, but I think this just happened just a couple weeks ago. So pretty recent sell, but yeah, not great, right? You don't want to sell your Bitcoin, but you certainly don't want to sell it at a loss because
it's even worse.
You've lost money. Yeah. So not great, but I think they're just doing it because they need the capital to stay afloat. So
makes sense.
Yeah, interesting.
Another company that sold their Bitcoin, it's a mining company called Riot Platforms. And looking into it a little bit further, they're one of the companies that are kind of pivoting to supporting like AI HPC infrastructure as well as Bitcoin mining. But they mined 1,473 Bitcoin during Q1, but they ended up selling just under 4,000. So they liquidated quite a bit. And this is really just like to fund their shift into supporting AI infrastructure. But I thought that one was interesting. So see what happens there.
We talked about that, I think, last week too. Lots of miners pivoting to AI, more profitable right now. If you're in Bitcoin, pivot to AI. They definitely listen to that.
Yeah.
ProCap Financial, which is Pomp's Bitcoin company, they approved an acquisition of Pomp's other company, which is CFO Sylvia, just kind of like an AI financial advisor. So now ProCap Financial actually has like a business behind it, which is through this like CFO Sylvia product that they have, and that deal is set to close early this month. So they are now a business that is not just holding Bitcoin, but is actually like generating some revenue maybe through their CFO Sylvia product.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be cool. I mean, Pomp is like very much a Bitcoin bull, so it'll be interesting to see how that like merge kind of develops, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they'll build from that. It seems like it's just like financial guidance, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, Pomp's podcast is like, I don't listen to every single episode, but it's probably like the one of the podcasts that I like listen to still like most consistently over
Yeah.
like the years that I've like been in, in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
He has Jeff Park, who is I think the CFO or maybe the CIO, one of the like guys that's like, informing like the actual investments for ProCap Financial. He
Okay.
has him on the show like every week or two. And they're like just talking about, the landscape and stuff, and that's pretty interesting. So that would be my recommendation is go find one of the podcasts with Jeff in it.
Nice.
Pretty interesting every week.
Awesome.
And lastly, we didn't mention Strategy because they did not actually buy Bitcoin this week. I was surprised to see that. But yeah, no Bitcoin buys from Strategy.
They're gonna fall behind.
A little bit, not that much. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see them back on the board next
Yeah,
week.
next
I'm
week
sure.
they buy 50,000 worth or something.
Exactly. Okay, we got to get into this Google story. We already discussed it. So Google basically has waved the quantum flag as Q Day approaches. So this Google research paper, it was co-authored with Justin Drake of the Ethereum Foundation and Dan Bonet of Stanford. They published this report this week titled "Safeguarding Cryptocurrency by Disclosing Quantum Vulnerabilities Responsibly." And I just wanted to read a couple of sentences from the intro of the report. It says, in a new white paper, we show that future quantum computers may break the elliptic curve cryptography that protects cryptocurrency and other systems with fewer qubits and gates than previously realized. We want to raise awareness on this issue and are providing the cryptocurrency community with recommendations to improve security and stability before this is possible, including transitioning blockchains to post-quantum cryptography, which is resistant to quantum attacks. So from this research, from the white paper, Google increased their quantum timeline from 2035 to 2029. So they're basically coming out and saying this is even more urgent, than it has been. I think for the past maybe few months, we've been seeing like some back and forth on like quantum being more urgent and like Bitcoin devs not necessarily taking it seriously. Nick Carter has been like one of the main people, I think, that has been trying to like raise alarms about this and trying to just create a little bit more urgency in the Bitcoin dev community. I think a lot of the criticism has been, Bitcoin devs, Bitcoin maxis are like super frustrated over like ordinals when like this is the problem that, the devs should be more concerned about. Because if you can crack the cryptography that's behind a lot of Bitcoin's algorithms, then you can steal Satoshi's coins. You can do all sorts of things. So anybody's coins, not just Satoshi's coins. So yeah, it's very important that Bitcoin upgrades before this becomes a problem. But in order to do that, you have to start acting and working on it now to prevent that. So yeah, pretty important stuff. I think a lot of people were, just because of like all the FUD and the fear and greed index being what it is, like a lot of people were just saying that this was just like another thing to bring down the price and blah, blah, blah. But I think this is actually, I think, a really important topic that, it doesn't just affect Bitcoin, it affects all of crypto and not even just crypto. This report, specifically was about like crypto, but quantum affects like everything that uses cryptography. It's like your bank passwords and like your everything, right? Everything uses cryptography. So yeah, super important that these things get updated in time so that they so that we don't lose everything.
And I feel like once you have like names like Google and Stanford and Ethereum, like genuinely putting pressure on this, it's kind of like, okay, like something needs to be done. And it seems like even like chains like Ethereum are even more vulnerable than Bitcoin in this because they're constantly like publishing public keys. And I've been reading that like Bitcoin's UTXO model actually like gives it a structural advantage at the moment, or like over another chain like Ethereum. But it's definitely like it's coming. And yeah, I don't know. The Bitcoin devs do not move quick, so it's like something needs to happen within the next, I don't know how many months, but um like a soft fork would take a long time, I think. So it's like momentum
Yeah.
needs to start happening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's like a good point. Is like, yeah, Bitcoin, traditionally moves slow, right? And we appreciate that. We like that because that makes
Yes.
it like hard money and they're not like quickly changing things and quickly breaking things. Like move fast and break things is not Bitcoin's strategy at all. So even though this timeline is like 2029, that still seems like, many years out. I mean, who knows that, right? There could be another breakthrough in like a year or
Mm-hmm.
two that pushes this timeline even closer. And especially with everything going on, with AI advancements, like who knows? Like
Yeah.
we could, be in a completely different landscape with quantum within even just like the next year or two.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
was kind of listening at, I know you mentioned Nick Carter, and he was on Aubrey Strobel's Observation podcast, like you said. And basically they just kept saying like expect everything sooner than you think. Like
yeah,
and I mean yeah, like we've seen that with AI. It's like it goes from being like, oh yeah, it's pretty good to like, whoa, this is insane. And like that loop just keeps getting quicker and quicker.
yeah.
So
It also becomes like a geopolitical issue because, if the US is, trying to do this and you have China trying to do this and you have Russia trying to do this and everybody's
yeah.
trying to get to, this level of, having a quantum computer that can crack these types of algorithms. And that's very powerful if you are, a nefarious country that is trying to hack into other countries' systems and disrupt things. And um, so yeah, this is a problem that is much bigger than Bitcoin, but it still certainly also affects Bitcoin. So you want to upgrade all the systems to be more quantum resistant. But yeah, that and because of that, countries or whoever kind of cracks it first might not be vocal about the fact that they've done it. That's what Q Day sort of implies, is like that's the day that like this quantum break happens. Um, but yeah, the whoever gets that, might not be public about it, and they might use it for nefarious purposes. So
Yeah.
just depends.
Well,
So
speaking
protect
of the
yourself
US,
now.
yeah. I was going to say, speaking of the US, some pretty big news for you guys. The US Department of Labor proposed a landmark rule to democratize access to alternative investments in 401k plans. So this basically means that you get to hold Bitcoin in your 401k now. So we had kind of covered this back in August, but Trump signed an executive order called Democratizing Access to Alternative Assets for 401k investors. And it was, like I said, just like opening up retirement accounts to alternatives beyond stocks and bonds. I don't think it named Bitcoin specifically, but this week, did you guys call it the DOL? Like, do you call it that? Department of Labor?
I Yeah,
The DOL? I don't know.
sure, yeah, sure.
Sure.
One of those acronyms.
But they specifically stated that digital assets are a new form of investing that includes a wide variety of assets that can be stored and transmitted digitally, including cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and other tokens. So they genuinely named Bitcoin this time. So I think it just really creates rules like safe harbors, like legal protection for plan managers. So right now, if a 401k plan offered Bitcoin, the manager takes legal risk. But this rule is saying if you follow these steps, you document your process, then you're going to be protected. And obviously, that removes a huge amount of friction for plan managers who, want to offer Bitcoin without having all of this liability. So pretty cool. I don't think you're not going to need wallet setup. not really any like custody concerns. It's really like standard infrastructure that already exists. And like we've mentioned, there's trillions of dollars in retirement funds. And so this is just like opening this up to an entirely new pool of capital that could flow into Bitcoin. So I think it's looking like plan administrators will implement it over the next 12 to 24 months, so a year or two. But I imagine like once big names like Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab start to get involved, that's when a lot of other people will follow. So a huge structural shift and pretty exciting news for you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think yeah, like we still have to wait though. Like I couldn't just go in and like flip the switch today. I've worked at like multiple crypto companies. None of them have, offered Bitcoin in your 401k. It's just not how it works. Like it's not really even up to the employer. It's up to, whoever the employer is using to like administer their 401k plans for their employees. So, so yeah, even though I've worked for Bitcoin companies, it's never been an option. But yeah, hopefully we're getting a little bit closer to that, potentially being a reality. Yeah, so far I just like S&P 500 in my 401k is is the best that we can do at this point.
Yeah.
But,
and I imagine for like people like you'll probably just buy Bitcoin on your own. But it's, again, like this is like the mainstream adoption. And I don't want to speak for you, maybe you will, but buy it through your 401k. But it just like removes friction for people who are not.
That's how I diversify. Is I buy Bitcoin in my 401k and I buy Bitcoin on Coinbase and I buy Bitcoin on River. That's my diversification strategy.
That's a great strategy. It's so funny.
Okay. Speaking of Coinbase, they locked in conditional approval to become a trust bank. So they've received conditional approval from the OCC to charter Coinbase National Trust Company. Coinbase already carries a limited purpose trust charter issued by the New York DFS, which allows it to have custody of digital assets for clients at the state level within its institutional business, which is Coinbase Prime. Basically, this national trust bank charter gives Coinbase qualified national status to safeguard customer assets and act on their behalf in payments, other transactions, and settlement. Unlike a full service bank charter, it doesn't allow the company to take in deposits. So Coinbase isn't actually becoming a bank as you would think of it as a bank with this. It doesn't give like customer accounts FDIC insurance and things like that. But basically, it just gives them like another wave of legitimacy. I was reading this article on Yahoo Finance. They were interviewing Coinbase's VP of institutional product, Greg Tusar, and he said in a quote, he said, "The custodian to over 80% of the world's digital asset ETFs, but there are a number of other asset managers and hedge funds and others that would like to see the entity that they face have this kind of charter." So again, it's just like another checkbox for institutions and large holders that want the trust of Bitcoin or of Coinbase, excuse me. So yeah, another move for Coinbase to just like become more entrenched in TradFi, I guess.
Yeah, they are really integrating themselves.
Yeah,
it almost feels like Trojan horse.
Totally does.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of like regulatory capture, where they're just like forcing themselves in. Maybe that is the same thing. I don't know, but yeah. Also on the Coinbase front, they're introducing the X402 Foundation on 402 days. Is that just like April 2nd? Yeah.
Yeah,
April 2nd.
Yesterday they announced it, but they said like in their press release, they're like, it's 4-02 today. If you're in America or in the US, I guess that's how it is. If you're, I think it's everywhere pretty much except for America. It's like flipped, right? The day and the month usually.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
US company, I guess.
Then they can kind of do it. Yeah, they can kind of set the rule on that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. So they're going to live under the Linux Foundation, just kind of like a neutral, non-for-profit home to ensure that no single company owns X402. Some of the founding members include AWS, Google, Microsoft, Stripe, Shopify, Visa, MasterCard, Amex. Like And then on the crypto side, there's Circle, Solana, Polygon. So every name that you can think of pretty much that's involved in payments. So a little context for X402, it's an HTTP status code standard for web payments. So think of it as like the plumbing that lets websites request payments in a standardized way. Right now, payment infrastructure is quite fragmented. So Stripe, PayPal, Apple Pay, they all kind of work differently. And so X402 would really standardize how the web communicates between them. And so this is pretty big. I mean, this is infrastructure being built by the biggest tech and payment companies in the world. And the fact that some of these big names and founding members are getting so involved, it means that like crypto is kind of being baked really into web payment standards, which makes so much sense because it's the money of the internet. So I don't know, pretty cool.
Yeah. It's been X402 has been really big for like agentic payments and just like AI in general. Like, if you're on, Claude, or if you're on ChatGPT and you're searching for something and it's like, it's searching the web, right? It's searching the web, it's pulling in articles. What your agents might encounter when they're searching the web is they might come across something that doesn't allow access unless a payment is made, and it's sort of like a web standard, which is HTTP 402. So this is just sort of further standardizing, creating a foundation to like grow this standard and make it proliferate across the entire internet. So the fact that you have like both AWS and Microsoft behind this, like they between those two, like they power, I don't even know what percentage of the internet, between AWS and Azure, like and Google. So pretty much 100% between those three. So yeah, it's a big deal to have all of those really big tech companies behind it. So yeah, pretty cool. All right, we wanted to get into this one quickly. So the U.S. Department of Justice has charged 10 foreign nationals from 4 different market-making firms in an international operation targeting cryptocurrency market manipulation. So the DOJ came out with this tweet the other day announcing it as employees from 4 firms. The names of the firms were Gotbit, Vortex, Antier, and Contrarian. They have been charged in 3 separate indictments. And according to the DOJ, the defendants acted as illicit market makers by, quote, wash trading the cryptocurrency to artificially inflate the trading volume and price. This fraudulent tactic creates the appearance that these cryptocurrencies have more active organic trading than really exists, thereby inducing investors to purchase the cryptocurrencies at artificially inflated prices. The indictments allege that the defendants not only conspired to inflate the trading volume and price of cryptocurrencies, but also profited through the sale of them at inflated prices to unwitting investors. The indictments and arrests were the result of an undercover operation by the FBI and IRS targeting this wash trading. And this one little sentence kind of threw me off, and I thought was pretty crazy. It said, as part of the undercover operation, the FBI created several cryptocurrency tokens. They didn't name which ones that they created, but how do you, what do you think about that? Because that is crazy to me that we have the FBI out here creating crypto tokens.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, I like understand wanting to like remove bad actors from the space, but like that seems like such a bait. Like I don't know if I can get behind that. I don't know.
There's some FBI agent that's on like pump.fun, like creating
they're having fun doing this. They're
creating
like,
meme
wow, my job's
coins.
sick.
Pretty wild stuff.
It reminds me, like I read this is like totally unrelated to crypto, but in Canada, like I think it was on the East Coast, there was like a local police force, and they had this like sting operation where they were like dressing up as like homeless people, and they would have the I forget what they're called, like the speedometers, so you can like clock people if they're speeding. And so like they would have like police officers dressed up as homeless and they would be like clocking people and then they'd have like police cars down the street and they would like go pull them over. And I'm like, I don't know if this
Oh
feels
my
like
God.
right. This is like kind of what this reminded me of. Like obviously very, very different, but
Yeah,
that
that's so
it's
funny.
crazy. I wonder if we'll ever get to know what token they actually created. I wonder if they'll ever publish this. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
let's get like Zach XBT on it and I'm sure he can uncover it.
I'm sure he's on it. Yeah, super interesting. Yeah, maybe the Trump coin was part of this. Who knows? That was kind of a pump
Imagine.
and dump as well, right?
Uh,
This one I saw, I thought was really cool. We had mentioned this a few weeks ago, maybe it was a month or two ago, back, but Square has now begun auto enrolling Bitcoin payments for sellers and merchants. So Bitcoin payments for eligible US sellers are now going to be automatically enabled through April, through this month. So sellers who accept Bitcoin will receive USD as default. Basically, it just means no additional setup is required to accept Bitcoin. So it's just going to be a payment option for Square terminals now. There is a bit of friction though. So the seller, not the payer, has to choose Bitcoin as a payment option. Like as a seller, if you're a merchant, you would choose like they're paying with cash or they're paying with card. Like the seller has to choose like they're paying with Bitcoin, and then
mhm.
they can choose and pay there. But a future mock-up that was shared by one of Square's employees said that they're working on like basically on the little Square terminal screen, you'll just be able to like tap like a little Bitcoin icon and then just pay with Bitcoin. So I guess that's coming maybe in the future, but not yet. But yeah, basically Bitcoin is now just like an opt out rather than an opt in on Square terminals, which is very cool.
I like it. Really, really cool. It'll be cool to see what the adoption is like. Yeah. But like just auto enabling it, I think is such a smart idea.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna have you
Let's
take this next one so I can take the one after.
okay, yeah, please. Um, okay. We don't actually know the full details, but on this one, so our first quick headline to wrap it up. Magic Eden's wallet went into export only mode this week, and their app has been removed from app stores. I don't know. There could be like a much bigger story happening. They might just be shutting down their mobile wallet. Um, who knows? But something is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We talked about them shutting down like Ordinals, and they were shutting down a few of their marketplaces, and they were like shutting down their multi-chain wallet.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, they pulled their app completely. So I'm not sure kind of what their main focus is on now. I haven't really been on Magic Eden since since they shut down Ordinals
Yeah.
trading. But yeah, it's kind of the end of an era. I guess officially with the wallet going into export only mode. So
Yeah.
the one bummer with this is like uh if you're something happened to your phone, you can't download the app again to then like export
Oh
your
no.
wallets because it's no longer in the
Oof.
app store. So um yeah, if you have not exported yet and your phone is working, do it now because you're gonna run out of time.
Crazy.
um all right, I saw this headline, and normally we don't get into the geopolitics stuff, but I thought it was kind of interesting. So, Iran's IGRC is now charging tolls starting at $1 per barrel on ships that are transiting the Strait of Hormuz, with payments required in either Chinese yuan or stablecoins, which is effectively monetizing control of the key oil checkpoint. I thought it was just super interesting that they are accepting stablecoins because stablecoins are not permissionless and not decentralized and can be very easily seized
Hmm.
by USDT or USDC or whatever stablecoin that they're using. So I just think it's super interesting. Like obviously, somebody like Iran is going to be sanctioned and controlled very heavily with any kind of US stablecoin. So um, yeah, probably not a great idea to use stablecoins, honestly, for them. They should probably use Bitcoin.
That is crazy. All right. I mean, I guess in some like nice news, after 5 months of being in the red, Bitcoin finally close its first green month. So we'll see what the spring brings. Maybe this is, where Bitcoin grows.
That's
But
right. Yeah,
yeah.
we're having trouble screen sharing. I was gonna share the photo, but yeah, we've been in 5 months of red, and yeah, we had a tiny, very small green candle for
Very
the month of
tiny.
March.
Yeah.
And I just saw this right before the show started. I had to put it in here really quick. Block is bringing back the Bitcoin faucet. It's going to be at the URL btc.day, not .com, btc.day. The original Bitcoin faucet was launched by Gavin Andresen back in 2010. It gave away 5 BTC to anyone who solved a CAPTCHA back when Bitcoin was basically worthless. The btc.day website currently has a countdown of 2 days and 18 hours. So check back in on Monday, and maybe you'll get some free BTC. Although I don't think it'll be 5 Bitcoin.
Could you imagine?
Maybe they'll do like a giveaway, and they'll give like a large amount to somebody. But yeah, certainly it's going to be like 0.0000005 maybe Bitcoin.
That's pretty cool. What like who's giving the Bitcoin away? Do you know
I
where
just
it's
saw
coming
like
from?
Block tweeted it, like Jack Dorsey retweeted it. So
Okay.
it's just some marketing thing for them. I
Okay.
think to advertise like all of Block's like Bitcoin stuff that they're doing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I'm sure there's a marketing angle with it. But yeah, btc.day. We'll check back on Monday to anybody that's listening over the weekend.
That's pretty cool.
I think that wraps it up for the week.
That's it.
Yeah, we will see you all next week. I don't know if the live stream is working, but thank you everybody for watching on our YouTube as well. I was checking the numbers. YouTube is actually like the #1 place that people are currently consuming the show.
Nice.
There's like hundreds of views on YouTube over the past few weeks. So we love to see that. Thank you for listening there or watching there. And yeah, catch us on goodforbitcoin.com. We will see you all next week. And yeah, have a great weekend, everybody.
See you guys.